Welcome to episode 9 of the Matlock podcast. Friends.
In this week's episode, Elijah's cousin is charged with theft, apparently in retaliation for her wrongful termination suit against a former employer. When the evidence points to her friend, can Olympia persuade her to target a trusted companion? Or will they need to find another solution? Meanwhile, with tensions rising in the Kingston mansion, can Madeline persuade Edwin she's still on track as he struggles to deal with her commitment to her work?
Oh, yeah. Girl, I popped a squat multiple times an hour. And postpartum, I had to wear a pee pad for a year in case I sneeze.
Good evening, Ian. You still wearing the nappy?
Well, it makes life a bit more convenient, doesn't it? It's just the way to go. I actually use a catheter most times.
I think, that is the future.
For a long podcast, when it goes past half an hour, you don't want to be taking any risks.
That's what the smell is.
Hopefully this episode will have aired in the UK by the time the podcast comes out, but I'm not confident that it will have.
No?
No, well, this is the first of the second part of the run.
You do the math.
I don't know when it's coming out. That's the problem. It's already started to air, and we're only a couple of weeks behind America now.
Are we?
Yeah.
There we go. Catching up.
Recording. Obviously, we've got another 2 weeks, so maybe a month behind in release.
Never mind that. Anything you want to chat about before we crack on?
Well, just in general terms, I do like that they're continuing to take this approach that Madeline's cause isn't enough to justify all the consequences.
Yeah, I also like their decision to answer the issues and questions that we've posed.
Yes, it was good of them. They must be listening.
I think so. It can be the only explanation.
Or in the past. Before we get into this social media stuff, you can get hold of us on @Colombo Podcast on Blue Sky, X and Facebook and Instagram, I think, as well. If you want to check out the show notes, we put up a wee bit for every episode on colombopodcast.com. And if you cannot wait for next week's episode, it's always available 1 week early on the Colombo Podcast Productions YouTube channel, where we encourage you to like it and leave comments and subscribe and hit that notification bell because it helps us with our metrics, etc. And people like that sort of thing.
That you?
It is.
Let's crack on.
In this week's recap, we're reminded about Madeline's purpose, Billy's resolve to grind now that he's over his breakup, Julian and Olympia's situation, Olympia's dalliance with Elijah, Madeline's document disappointment, and the pen recorder in Julian's couch.
After that, we find Madeline in an unusual, unfamiliar location.
She's in a bar flirting with a man.
She's acting like a typical old person, however.
Is she? What's she doing?
Well, she's sitting at the bar and laughing about all the hipster options available when all she wants is a cold beer.
She's identified an in with this individual who is called Irv.
And he suggests a blonde and feels a bit uncomfortable when she winks and says she is still a blonde in some places, surely not, and asks if he comes there often.
Olympia shows up at this point to tag team the poor individual.
Double teamed, yes. As Madeline makes some suggestive innuendo involving calamari, she sidles up and remarks that Madeline is flirting with him. And obviously feeling very uncomfortable, he turns his back on her, or Madeline leaves, allowing Olympia to make him feel that he owes her a...
Yeah, well, what he does is he tells Madeline that Olympia is his friend who has just shown up so he can turn away from her. Madeline doesn't leave, she's still there, but he focuses his attention on Olympia, who immediately drops a bombshell.
What's that?
She's a lawyer and she's investigating the case for Sam Prince in respect of wrongful termination.
He confirms that he knew Sam was pregnant when she was fired and that he no longer works for Stead Track, that's the company.
It's an Amazon type company, we should say.
But claims to have no idea why she was let go. And he was also laid off and is on unemployment at the moment and doesn't want to jeopardise it. I'm not sure how that could be. I mean, the unemployment, I don't know what it's like in America, but is it paid by the government?
I think, though, if they report you as voluntarily unemployed, you're not entitled to claim in certain circumstances. So if he annoyed the company, they report to the benefits people that he's made himself unemployed, he then cannot claim.
However, when he turns on his stool, he sees Maddie acting, I suppose, very unappealing, and so continues his conversation with Olympia, who tells him that Sam wants her job back, not money, as she needs the benefits and stability of employment, what with being pregnant.
Yes, and she assures him that they cannot go after his unemployment payments in this scenario, and he appears to be backing down.
And so we cut to Madeline telling Edwin that their plan worked as she gets ready for bed.
He doesn't seem really engaged or even happy at all with this success, or really with the whole project.
He's certainly a little off, perhaps unhappy about her barroom performance, which I assume that she's described. And then with a touch of, I think, almost aloofness, points out that she didn't ask about the pen. So he's feeling as if she's not considering the work that he's been doing, or not with him all the time.
He's constantly passive-aggressive when he's unhappy. So he'll drop this things like, you haven't asked about this, or it's okay, I got on fine with that, and all this sort of stuff. So in this case, he's reviewed the tape from Julian's pen, and there's nothing come up that is relevant. However, he is upset about something specific.
What was that?
He thinks that Madeline's getting too close to Olympia and forgetting that she is a suspect in this investigation.
He's also worried that she will be arrested if Jacobs and Moore find out about what she's... Of course, this isn't something that should just have occurred to you.
She's confident that they would never press charges against her for two main reasons.
Firstly, that they would look foolish for allowing a 75-year-old called Matlock to infiltrate them.
Yes, and secondly, that they wouldn't want the publicity of her claims going public.
For a lawyer, I think she's underestimating that type of company's vindictiveness.
And also the fact that they've probably got sway with the police and with other people who can have her silenced in certain ways, I would imagine.
Anyway, they have a laugh about this, but he pleads with her to be careful, and she assures him that she always is, before furtively taking a text from Olympia, who had a fun night. So she's just continuing the casual, the non-well-Brexit discussion with Olympia, becoming friends.
Indeed.
In the morning,
Alfie is worried about the bullies at his school who are calling him mean names.
But even he recognises Edwin's advice to...
I quite enjoy it. It was sensible and wise advice from a man of experience.
What does he suggest that Alfie does?
He said, you just tell them in 10 years you're going to be at the top and they're not even going to be footnotes.
He will be physically bullied for that sort of response, and rightly so. I'd imagine it's the type of thing that a young Rees-Mogg in this country, a Rees-Mogg Jr. would say.
But unfortunately, not only in America, but this country as well, quite often the ones who are the bullies aren't down at the bottom in 10 years.
No, but we've said this before, or I have in different podcasts, looking back at my own schooling, the school was a large school, and there was a fairly rough element to it, a very rough element to it as well. It had extremes. But the notion that, the bullies are all cowards and you should just fight, as soon as you stand up to a bully, not so much bullies, but just...
I think that myth was invented by bullies to get folk to taunt them so they could beat them up.
There were some head cases, like absolute maniacs who have subsequently went to jail for all sorts of violence and murder and what have you. And they were crazy. They had a big family, and they would stab you or slash you. You just stayed away from them. If you approached him and says, "I'm going to stand up to you," you would be stabbed. It's bad advice.
Fortunately, Alfie doesn't go to school in Hamilton. He goes to school in New York, a much more placid part of the world. He, though, as you say, recognises that Edwin's advice is terrible, and is then sent upstairs to get dressed, and is not allowed to check the transcripts from the pen.
And when gone, they argue about the best way to handle this bullying, but agree Edwin will call the school if it gets any worse.
Yeah, he doesn't want to take away Alfie's agency by doing it prematurely, but Alfie doesn't seem to be doing anything about it himself.
No, but at what point do we find out? Because I was unsure about how bad the bullying was.
Yeah.
And maybe it'll be a case, that if it's just a bit of name calling, you have to let them...
Toughen up a wee bit.
Yeah, well, sort it out themselves. You can't always be stepping in and calling the teachers if there's just a...
Yeah. Then something happens at this point which makes me question a couple of things.
What's that?
The computer chimes because it's picked up a mention of Brexit on the pen. So if it can do that, why on earth is Edwin checking the transcripts?
Did she not search for it?
No, it pinged.
Yeah, but I can't remember. Did she not just search and then it pinged up and...
I don't think so. Maybe not. Maybe she did. In any event, why is it a surprise that someone in Julian's office would mention Brexit? He's one of their lawyers. They're like one of his biggest clients. He'll mention Brexit on a day-to-day basis. And it almost certainly will never be about the thing that they're interested in, because that's in the past as far as they're concerned. It's not an active case. It's not like he's going to one day go into us, remember that time I hid those Brexit documents?
Yeah. However, what is it they discuss? It's not about Brexit. She finds out something else.
Yes, Julian's been sleeping with a meerkat.
He has. Fair play to him.
Well, they're small and wriggly.
Although Madeline feels guilty when Edwin assumes that she will simply use the information to manipulate the pair of them, or certainly Olympia, to get what they want as a title display. So yes, he thinks, brilliant, you've got something you can leverage. And
yeah, but she's not so keen.
No. And the topic of conversation continues when we catch up with Julian in Olympia's office.
Right, I'm to blame.
No, Olympia.
I shouldn't have brought up Shay again. It's been a week. Old news, what was I thinking?
I just don't want every conversation to be a fight. Tell me what to do. I'll do anything.
Nothing to do. You already did. We have an interview with Gramercy Park Academy tomorrow. I think it'll be a great option for the twins.
I think so too. But can I just say one more thing about...
You cannot. Hi, Elijah. How's Philly?
It's Philly. Great job at getting a corroborating witness.
Let's hope it's enough to keep us from going to trial.
Well, I've updated 5 aunties on a text chain, and there's a lot of fire emojis being sent.
Followed by prayer hands, followed by a favorite Bible verse.
No. Look, I really appreciate you helping Sam. Obviously, when I asked you, things were different.
I like Sam, and she shouldn't have been fired. Would have helped her even if she weren't your cousin. This is what I do.
Yeah, and you do a lot. So, I got you an extra set of hands, just to help with trial prep. Just in case.
What's going on?
So who belongs to this extra pair of hands?
The hands are attached to a harlot.
To Shay. And we see Olympia, she almost has to try and fight off a panic attack in front of Madeline, as she describes how her father taught her to be a crocodile. Snappy.
Bitey, yeah.
Submerge herself in water.
So at this point, Madeline obviously knows what the problem is and can't say anything, so she has to try and get Olympia to engage with her on her own terms. But she doesn't reveal to Madeline at this stage what the issue is.
And just to be clear, the crocodile is someone who's tough on the outside and soft in the...
Like an egg.
Like an egg, yeah. Like an Easter egg.
Or they're empty on the inside, mostly.
Well, yeah.
Vacant.
It's a bad example.
Madeline is asked by Olympia, without explanation at this point, to interface with Shay for her because she, Olympia, cannot be around Shay at the moment.
Obviously, she's not comfortable with this.
No, but that's it.
Madeline says, look, do we really need Shay?
Yes,
Sam will be telling the truth. There's not really a lot of preparation required.
Yes, and Olympia's position is it's what's best for the client. She's willing to tolerate it, but she just can't be the one to deal with her.
Yeah, I think Madeline at this point asks why, but Olympia doesn't elaborate other than asking her as a friend to do this interfacing.
Yeah.
We see that she really does feel uncomfortable every time the friendship is brought up because she feels guilty, which is at least the sign that she's not a sociopath.
Well, yeah, that's one thing that she's not. She has other things.
Meanwhile, in the U3 office.
Yeah, Sarah and Billy are observing this conversation without being able to hear what's being discussed, and they kind of riff on what the topic may be.
And again, we see the influence of Kira on Sarah. Prior to that, she would be strung out, agitated about the thought that she was being sidelined.
Yes, or missing out on something, yes.
But she doesn't really care at this point.
No, she's more interested in swiping food from Billy's lunch and sharing it with Kira.
So why, tell me about the packed lunch.
There's a scenario here. So Billy and Claudia shared an apartment owned by Billy. He has, since the breakup, moved back in with his mum and allowed Claudia to remain in the apartment, which has infuriated Sarah because it's his apartment and Claudia should be the one that gets out. I think she's just protective of her friend here, so she's not trying to be unreasonable, but Billy is feeling it as a bit of a stressor. She
is, however, a little bit clingy and has to try and hide her surprise and disappointment when Kira reveals that she has another hang that night.
No one talks like this. This is absurd. Well, this has been written by someone who's read it on the internet or something.
Well, I was going to say that the whole sort of thing anyway is the casual dating. Maybe it was just me, my age group, my background and where but you'd have you get in a few dates, then you'd have a girlfriend and you wouldn't just have different, depends what you were, I suppose, how far it was going, if you were just actually hanging with them, going out for a date. But I don't know, the notion of being with someone and then saying, yeah, but we're not.
I've started 3 relationships. I'm going to see which one I like the best.
Yeah.
So that's a bit weird and a bit. But maybe that's what they do these days.
I think so.
I don't know.
Yeah,
better off out.
But even if you were sleeping with them, it would seem a bit weird. I think it's having a couple of casual dates, maybe. But once you get to that stage, and I don't know, maybe they haven't taken it further.
Maybe
I got the impression they had.
They do seem to be quite close.
Yeah.
And Sarah certainly is. of an opinion.
So she tries to play it cool to Billy when she leaves, but and through gritted teeth, she admits that it's only been 47 days and it's not exclusive. But he tells her to keep it together and looks to get down to business as he is worried that Olympia is relying on them less and less.
I mean, he did also offer the chance to hang with his mom.
Yeah. So I think this is a sort of role reversal, isn't it?
Yeah, and by the end of his little speech that he does here, Sarah's already gone.
Yeah, she seems back on track and is already in the meeting room as the heavily pregnant Sam is describing how demanding the delivery company Steadtrack was, and that she joined with her friend Khadija around 4 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, it couldn't be any more like Amazon if it tried. I think that's...
In fairness, I think from what I've heard, every delivery company in this country, DPD or whoever it is, it's not Yodel anymore.
Every used to be Hermes.
Hermes, yeah. But that is, everyone complains that their deadlines or quotas are horrendous.
Imagine being so bad at delivering stuff that you have to trash or move away from using the name of the messenger of the gods. Like literally the perfect name for a delivery company, and you've
rebranded
run it
it
to the ground.
Yeah. Billy wonders out loud if she should be going into detail. I don't understand what sort of question this is. Why would you not be going into detail?
Yeah, and Shay shuts him down very quickly.
Oh, she snaps back at him, tells him not to interrupt, and then goes on to ask why she didn't leave the company.
I think Billy is just trying to contribute.
Okay.
He wants to be involved and be seen.
It's a strange one.
Yeah, it's a mistake.
Why should she provide detail?
He's over-responding or overreacting to the situation that he thinks he's in.
So why didn't Sam simply leave?
The situation at the time, I think she said her husband who worked on the rigs was out of work.
During COVID.
Pandemic time, and
she got pregnant and all that stuff. So yeah, she's not in a position to give up the benefits.
That's it.
She doesn't go easy on her. I suppose you have to role play the prosecution or the defence.
The DA, I suppose, in this case.
Yeah.
No, not yet. In this case, it's the... Yeah, okay, sorry, spoilers.
And asks if that was when the trouble started, and begins to, like being pregnant that is, and begins to reel off performance issues, including being late and sleeping in her truck. How does she respond?
She says that she had some prenatal appointments and it's really difficult to get time allocated for that sort of thing. And she thinks the real reason that she got fired is because she was leading efforts to unionise the staff.
She notes that this was after she had her truck and packages stolen. But Sam points out that had happened before to other people and they weren't sacked.
She, however, points out that Sam's truck was left running with the key in the ignition, and this must not be in line with protocol. However,
she says because of the quotas, the demanding nature of it, that's what happened. It was an unwritten rule. You had to just jump out.
You had to hit your targets. Yeah. And at this point, she was even peeing in bottles in the back of the van because she didn't have time to literally live like a human whilst working. And
worse than that, the company put cameras into the trucks. So she often had to go into the back to do this.
Yeah.
And I think we heard this at the top of the podcast.
Yes. And at this point, Sam excuses herself to go to the bathroom.
Well, yeah, it's a bit suspicious. I think she wants to know if there's anything else that she wants to tell them at this point. And rather than say no, she goes, "Oh, I'm going to go to the toilet." So it's almost as if she's hiding something. And so Madeline relays to Olympia that she thinks Sam is lying about something and wants to speak with her. And she's only able to hold her off for so long.
At this point, Madeline presses Olympia on what is going on.
And so she opens up and tells her about...
But like she did.
about the one-night stand. I think she thinks it's a one-night stand, who knows. And after Madeline reminds her that she's a crocodile, she insists there is no dilemma. They need to kick her to the curb.
Well, so Madeline says this, yes.
About Shay.
Yes.
Obviously, that's for her own benefit. She wants to get rid of the lie detector.
However, there is a awkward or concerning moment for Madeline just then as the cops pile into the office.
Yes, she assumes they must be there for her.
We see her flash back to the conversation with Edwin from earlier on, and she thinks they are here to take her away.
But she is temporarily relieved to see them walk away from her. However, is then shocked as they both watch as Sam gets arrested for grand larceny and is led away in cuffs despite Olympia's protest.
We immediately find ourselves in the court where Olympia has again transitioned into being a criminal attorney.
Yes.
We talked about this in episode 2. We don't need to go over it again. It's not her field. Just because she cares about someone doesn't mean she's the best person for the job.
Precisely. We watch as the prosecution lawyer smugly tells the judge that Sam is being charged with the theft of the truck and its contents worth over $50,000.
The DA feigns shock at Olympia's suggestion that they would be influenced by a corporate third party in retaliation for the civil case.
But then the prosecution produces a piece of evidence.
Yes, Olympia says there's no evidence, but they have a piece of a packing slip or something with a tracking number on it that was located in Sam's locker and could only have come from inside one of the packages that was in the truck when it went missing, and footage of the camera in the van being turned off an hour before the theft.
Now, Olympia claims this is obviously a set-up, but the judge tells her to prove it at trial and sets bail at $20,000, even though she is not a flight risk because of her condition, and it's her first offence.
Khadija, her friend, is here at this point and says that she has the cash to bail her out, perhaps from stealing a truck.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm entirely happy with how they tried to make this seem the obvious answer. I'm not sure if it was a double bluff or a triple bluff.
Well, yeah, it's almost like, without wanting to skip too far ahead, the message is almost, you can trust your friends.
I assumed that the title of the episode was in
with
reference to
these,
with friends like these. Yeah, so where's this person getting 20k from?
Yeah, especially what we hear about her.
Yeah, in fact, is that ever answered?
No. I don't think she has to actually come up with the money, though. She just has to say that she'll pay it. Is that not how it works?
No, you'd have to put down some sort of... Yeah, you can't just say it. I would...
I'm not sure how it works because I don't think you have the same system here, so I have no idea.
We've discussed bail bonds and bounty hunters in the past.
Lend the money and stuff like that, yeah. Okay. In the Jacobson Moore conference room, Sam confirms that she would like the trial to be expedited so that it's over and done with before the baby arrives, and does not want her husband informed because he would use holiday that he needs after the baby is born to come home from the rigs.
Khadija tells them that she will be there for her friend, but Olympia is worried that the DA has real evidence that she was involved.
Yeah, we should point out that the paternity and maternity leave rules in America are very much skewed towards businesses.
Yeah.
Unlike here, where it's a bit more balanced.
I think we can see that Olympia is less convinced of Sam's innocence at this point.
Do you know that she's heard part of the evidence against her? Sam says that the paperwork must be manufactured and that the camera was turned off because she had to pee in the cab because the van was full.
Yeah, I think she stutters a little bit when she describes the reason for this. So it's again, you've been made to feel that she's
being dishonest. Yeah. Khadija cleared out Sam's locker 3 months earlier.
Again, it's just pointing too... it's just too on the nose here, isn't it? It's too obvious that this is what you're meant to think. And I assumed it must be. It's too obvious, therefore you're meant to think that it won't be that, therefore it's the double bluff.
Yeah. Sarah says that the chain of custody of this slip that was found shows that a janitor found it and handed it to a manager called Ahmad Hassan.
And that the prosecution will be calling him as a witness, which gives Madeline an idea.
What are you thinking? Well, my friend, Cindy Shapiro, had a rival named Carol Burnett, no relation. And Cindy hated Carol for reasons I won't get into. But Cindy wanted Carol out of our canasta game. So Cindy set it up to look like Carol was cheating. Only no one noticed. But Cindy couldn't very well point that out, could she? So Cindy positioned Gail Lerman, the objectively nice lady, where she could see it. Now there's my point. Why would a janitor hand over a random piece of paper that looks like trash to the manager?
Prosecution's not calling the janitor.
Sarah and I will interview her.
With Maddie.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's my grandson. He's having a hard time at school. I need to call him.
Of course, absolutely. I'll interview the janitor with them.
Did you, the reference there to Carol Burnett, do you know who Carol Burnett is?
Well, I didn't get the no relation part. Is that a Matlock reference?
No.
So who's she no relation to?
Yeah, I think she means no relation to the real Carol Burnett.
Right, who's the real Carol Burnett?
bigger in America. She is one of the sort of first ladies of comedy back in the sort of 60s, 70s. Started up as a stand-up, then into TV. She had her own TV show, The Carol Burnett Show. She's still alive. I think she's in her 90s now. You will be most aware of her, and people in the UK, as Miss Hannigan from the Annie movie from the early 82.
Okay.
But very funny comedian. And yeah, she's a sort of broke a lot of barriers.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
We next see Madeline in a room by herself on the phone to Alfie, being as indiscreet as she usually is, making phone calls around work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he is still being bullied, and she tells him that his grandfather will call the school. However, this is overheard by Shay, who reminds, this is a bit odd, who reminds her that she said her husband was dead. That's an odd thing to say unless you think she's a liar.
She does think she's a liar.
Yeah, no, she knows she's not telling the truth about something, but it's just weird that you wouldn't assume that what she's done is created an entirely false and fictitious backstory.
Yeah, but she goes into it a little bit here. So she says that, or Madeline says that she's talking about the other grandfather.
Which is the obvious. That's what I'm saying. So this is a weird thing to be pulling you up on. When people have two grandparents generally.
Yeah, 4.
Grandfather.
Okay. Shay anyway says that she wants to catch up on the witness list and knew Sam was hiding something, and then digs in a bit more on Madeline's situation.
Yeah, this causes her to get straight to the point and ask her why she is interested in her, as it's becoming exhausting. How does she respond to that?
She says what's exhausting is the way Madeline keeps changing the subject.
And wants to know why she is so secretive. So having no alternative, she decides to go on the offence and tells her it's because she doesn't want the office talking about her personal life, and she doesn't think that she wants the same at this point. So,
well, that sends Shay off on one. She is not happy.
This is the first time we really see her. She stopped dead in her tracks.
She's rattled.
She is silenced. Like when she was
with Julian.
Yeah, she's she's silenced, and for the first time we see she has lost, I think, some of her power and confidence, and she leaves without saying anything else. I think that was obviously, I say she had little other option, but it was a nice
pivot. Yeah.
Yeah.
We then get literally a 2-second scene where Shay confronts Julian.
Yes. She worriedly asks if he told anyone about them, as Olympia has been avoiding her, and Madeline just made a very odd remark.
Do you think this is for convenience, that she doesn't want people to know, or do you think she's embarrassed to have been with Julian?
I'm not sure if she'd been embarrassed. Why would that be embarrassing? He's a successful, good-looking, intelligent man.
Married man.
Yes, but not now. So it's
well, then he was.
Yeah.
And it also puts her behaviour in earlier episodes into a different light, which is giving Olympia advice about how to handle Elijah and stuff like that.
Indeed, yeah.
Anyway, we're now back in the corridor where Billy praises Olympia for her and Madeline's work on Irv and offers himself and Sarah if they need to do any further work of that type.
But this doesn't seem to have worked, as when they sit down with the janitor, she introduces herself and states that the twosome are there to silently observe.
Yeah, she's not impressed. She's certainly not impressed by Sarah's proclamation that she took an improv class in high school.
Yeah. Now, the janitor tells how Hassan stood over her as she cleaned the locker as asked to, and it did feel weird and wasn't normal protocol. And as soon as she found the piece of paper, the slip, he took it and left.
Billy wants to immediately add her to their witness list, but Olympia has a trick up her sleeve.
Yeah, she would rather wait until he locks himself, this is Hassan, into a lie on the witness stand before springing the janitor on them. And he asks if they can do this.
For some reason, Billy's not aware of the rules of court. You'd think with his character he would know this.
He should do, yeah. What's the answer anyway?
It's an expedited trial, so the notice rules are different, and Olympia will be the only one who's thought of this.
Well, you might think that.
Well,
on the stand,
Hassan is, yes, he's giving evidence, and he says the only way for someone to have come into possession of this slip would be to have opened the package that was in the truck when it was stolen.
He's got all the answers to start with, hasn't he? He's very confident, yeah. And he says that because she had a truck stolen, this was why he was interested in her locker.
Yeah, Olympia is pushing him on this when he gets into cross-examination, saying how many others does he supervise being cleaned, and he says none apart from hers, and he didn't even observe hers being cleaned out the first time when Khadija did it. It was only the second time because the next day the person getting the locker has a severe peanut allergy.
Yes, we should say as well that the packing slip for the stolen item was a Gucci handbag, so again something that perhaps Sam would be after.
Yeah, but how would you know what was in Has she gone through all these packages
Yes.
and taken this one bag and then put the slip in her locker?
Depends where it was picked up from. If she picked up from Gucci as a delivery.
Oh, I suppose it depends. Yes, I'm thinking Amazon type where everything's coming from the one warehouse.
No, it's not
Maybe
Amazon,
not.
yeah. So she's doing a round, she picks up from different stores and delivers them, yeah.
Maybe.
Yes, so he talks about this peanut allergy. Again, he's very good. He's been briefed. He says, well, yes, peanuts, the allergen can survive on surfaces for 110 days.
Yes, but they're only clearing this one locker.
But it's for her.
Yeah, but so, assuming she doesn't come into contact with any other surfaces in the building.
Well, she's not going to be touching that on a regular basis.
Yeah. It's a severe peanut allergy. Anyway, there is evidence to support this apparently absurd position.
What's that?
They've got the medical records of the employee in question, although their name has been redacted.
So this has rocked Olympia's case. She's a bit, her confidence takes a little bit of a waiver here. And it takes a further knock when the prosecution calls a Margot Cruz.
Surprise witness.
Yes. And her own tactic of an expedited witness list is used against her.
The kidder becomes the kiddie.
Later on, Mrs. Cruz is on the stand and tells how she saw Sam and her truck on the day of the theft as she waited for her bus across the road and noticed her.
She did.
Why?
She was very pregnant.
And unloading packages. So she
She was
actually
impressed with that, yeah. Whilst she was observing, a car pulled up next to the truck. A woman got out and the two of them swapped keys and Sam drove off in the car quickly.
The team is then shocked to hear that after Sam drove away in the woman's car, the other woman looked in a hurry to leave and Sam looks very uncomfortable. So yeah, this is painting a very
It's not looking good.
dubious.
And it's put directly to Sam in the next scene where Elijah has returned and wants to know what's going on.
Well, they ask her why she lied and she has been lying.
Yeah, well, she explains, and this is going to come up later, so let's take very careful note of the order of events here. On the day the truck was stolen, she had to go for her ultrasound appointment and Khadija was covering her shift, and it was Khadija driving when the van was stolen.
Elijah is obviously angry by the hiding of these facts and can't believe that Sam acts offended when he asks her if she's sure her friend did nothing wrong. I mean, at this point, it's hard to be sympathetic. It doesn't matter if it's true. The fact that you're lying to your defence is
You're
not,
making it impossible for them to do their job, and you're acting in a blinkered way where you're just refusing to consider certain aspects of what's going on.
Olympia calms him down and the situation, but admits to Sam that she has severely tarnished her own credibility. But they can use this new information to create a reasonable doubt.
Sam's not having it, and she points the finger or turns the tables on Elijah, her cousin, for his apparent snobbishness, I guess, towards the family.
Yeah, like he's too big for them now. And he tells her to make sure she doesn't go to prison. I would tell her to F off at this point. You've been lying to me. Now you're demanding. It's not...
I say, you're such a big fancy lawyer, you get me off without me having to tell the truth.
Yeah.
It's insane. Anyway, in another room in the office, Sarah is bemused at this revelation that Sam won't allow Khadija to be fingered, as she would finger Billy immediately if she had the opportunity.
Okay, I'm not even going to bother with that.
Well, he notes it.
Does he?
He takes very careful note of this situation.
Right, okay. Anyway, yeah, she thinks it's crazy because Khadija probably did it like they're all thinking, obviously.
Apparently, yes.
Yeah.
But Olympia seems to agree with that when she says they need to persuade Sam.
And tells them to start looking into her friend before leaving to try and charm a school's admission counsellor.
There's a great line now. So Julian's coming into Olympia's office and says that Madeline's a terrible liar and has let slip about what she said to Shay.
Yeah, she claims not to be bothered and blames him for bringing the mess to the office and acts offended when he calls her a hypocrite and mentions Elijah.
Just then, the school admissions officer comes on the call and they have to act nice.
Yeah, they spout all the buzzwords that she wants to hear and they seem to get a favourable response.
Yeah, I think we cut to the end of the call quite quickly, and after it wraps up, Olympia wants to know what Julian is accusing her of.
Yeah, well, he accuses her of having an office affair with Elijah.
Yeah, and says that Shay told him.
And at this point, he happens to walk in as they're having this argument.
Yeah, and there's no room for any subtlety now. Julian is...
This is a bit of a shocker. Elijah, I think, he's done nothing wrong. He has always, when he was with her, they were talking about, okay, we'll wait. He was happy to effectively not
think
exist.
From what we can tell, what's happened is they've admitted to one another they're attracted to each other. They've not done anything yet, but they've planned to do something.
I'll be sure that's the situation.
I think so.
I thought it was just a case of we'll wait until we'll wait until we come out to everyone else about this.
No, I think because they've talked about this cabin that they're going to go to, and they're like, we're building up to this. We're not going to do anything until then. Anyway, Julian not really confronts, but just blurts out in front of Elijah that he knows that the two of them were having some kind of affair or thing or a dalliance or whatever, and walks out, leaving Olympia shouting after him that he's comparing an actual something with a hypothetical nothing, which hurts the feelings of Elijah, which I think is a bit of an overreaction.
I'm not so sure. Again, he's done nothing wrong. He has made sure he's kept things quiet. And if also what you're saying as well, he has been prepared to wait before they take the physical step. He was then just unceremoniously dumped.
Yep.
And then the contradiction of, from Olympia and her behaviour, I think he is entitled to be pretty angry with how he's been treated, and his world been turned upside down.
I'd be more annoyed at being dragged into it than being hurt that she didn't consider it meaningful.
Well, I think it was. They certainly seemed to. I assumed before this that they were in some sort of proper, full-blown relationship, the way they were acting with each other and the way they talked to each other. So I think, Elijah's been very hard done by here. And I think
we see later on
he's been embarrassed in front of the ex. Oh, he was nothing to me. It's like, oh, really?
And we see later on that that's probably enough for him to move on.
Yeah, I think so.
I think a bit of closure for him.
He's saying, this is a complete man. I'm just not,
I'm not getting involved.
Yeah.
Back in the U3 office, there's bad news about Khadija. Well, depending on your perspective.
Yeah, what's that?
Her record is clean.
Before Madeline walks out to take a call from Edwin.
Who's still passive-aggressive.
Yeah, he tells her that he decided against calling the principal at this time.
Overruling her request. But the big thing here is he says that since he's in charge of taking care of Alfie, and I assume that's not something they've discussed, that's just him laying on her like, you're at work all the time and I'm here doing this, without actually coming out and saying it.
Yeah.
He says that she shouldn't be micromanaging from afar.
Yeah.
And again, it's a shot at her for not being involved in Alfie and that she's missing out on this.
I can see both sides of it.
Well, she thinks she is doing this for Alfie.
Yeah.
It's probably not true, or it's not how it's going to work out.
No, she's doing it for herself, and he might benefit from it down the line.
Probably won't. In fact, probably nobody will benefit, even if they're successful.
Yeah. Not wanting to argue, or not able to argue as she's in work, she grits her teeth and ends the call.
Very visibly grits her teeth, literally.
Before insulting the other grandpa to the pair.
Yeah, I didn't get the reference. Do you know this reference?
What?
He's dimmer than a light bulb in a chicken coop. Do they have really low lighting in chicken coops?
I'd have thought so, yeah.
I wouldn't have thought they have any lighting in a chicken coop. Yeah, not right. I don't know much about farming. Meanwhile, while she's been on that very short call, they've either that or beforehand, I don't know, they've found from social media through a tool that goes through your old posts that have been deleted that Khadija had a criminal boyfriend.
Yeah, named Moser,
Dimitri.
who she broke up with right after the theft. Sarah has a go at Billy here by suggesting that maybe Khadija is still in his apartment while he stays with his mom, but Madeline is more interested in drawing up some questions for him.
Yes, but Sarah reacts very badly to that idea.
In what way?
Well, she tells Madeline to back off and keep her nose out of it because they are due a win and she's had enough of the air. And
it's not because Kira is seeing other people as suggested by Billy in retaliation. However, Madeline is happy to oblige after looking at Mauser's place of business. And Sarah, I think she's up for it, going to visit.
Well, looks like it.
But she wants an hour to change.
Indeed. So, at least an hour later, we find them outside a club where Dimitri is the bouncer.
Yeah, it's a sort of trendy looking place.
They try to skip the queue by saying they know him, but apparently everybody in the queue knows him, and that's not any reason to move forward.
Well, I think also the callback here to her talking about her improvisation class.
Yes.
So I think what we see here is that that's been put into practice. So they start to argue about each other's personal life, which gets...
So you think that was deliberate?
Yes.
I thought they were just arguing.
No, I think that's part of the plan.
Oh, okay. Well, that can be looked at either way, I think.
Yeah, they're creating a scene. I mean, it's based... I think improvisation as well can be based on real feelings, and you work with it, you roll with it. So yeah, this causes Mauser to try and split them up. She
tells Billy before this that he has activated the wrong bitch. Anyway, yes, when they mention that they are private investigators...
Mm-hmm. Now this, I thought, could we have a spin-off? Billy and Sarah, Private Eyes. That'd be good. I'd watch that. I'd certainly watch the pilot.
Anyway, Dimitri lets slip that Khadija had debts that he had nothing to do with.
Yeah, he snarls this at them and tells them to beat it.
Yep.
Meanwhile, at the Kingston mansion, things are at the breaking point between Madeline and Edwin.
So, Selfie asleep?
Yes.
And I was right. His day got better. That's why I didn't want to call the school.
The two aren't mutually exclusive. He called me at work.
Well, that's because you coddle him, Madeline.
I don't.
You do. You're so afraid of him feeling any pain.
Alfie's had plenty of pain in his life, don't you think?
Well, yeah, but it doesn't mean we need to overreact about every little thing.
I'm not overreacting.
You are.
Edwin, parenting is different now. Olympia just moved her kids to another school because of the social dynamics.
I don't care about Olympia. She's not my wife. She is a suspect. One of 3 people we think hid documents about opioids, which means she can't be trusted. Not about parenting, not about anything.
I know that, Edwin.
I don't believe you.
I really do like this tension between both these characters because it does end a bit of realism to it. You wouldn't...
Yeah, so I think Edwin recognises the harm that Madeline's scheme or their scheme is having on Alfie and on their family, and he's willing to tolerate, or to a certain extent willing to tolerate, provided she's on track. But when he's seeing her going off track and also continuing with these harms, I don't think he can see any reason for this to be continued.
Yeah.
So it's either do it properly or don't do it. And she's somewhere in the middle there.
I think it's a Saturday now, isn't it? It's a weekend.
It's Saturday morning, and a sleep-deprived Sarah and Billy tell Olympia what they learned from Dimitri.
We should also say that Sarah's talking like Yoda.
Oh, that's why she's sleep-deprived and can't get her words out in the right order. Khadija apparently was in debt from online gambling at this point, so maybe that's how she's got money now.
Possibly, yeah. In the meeting room, Olympia and Elijah put this new evidence to Sam, but she still refuses to believe that her friend has anything to do with the theft. End of story, she says. Again, it's the attitude that I think, well, we're trying to help you here. Again, probably for free, because you're family.
Yeah, that's it.
Be grateful.
In a gastropub, Madeline and Olympia, presumably still Saturday, talk over lunch.
And I think we can see that certainly Olympia is a bit merry. We should say a few glasses, a few cocktails or whatever it is they're drinking.
Yeah.
And she updates the sober Madeline on what Sam has said.
Yeah, she says that with this being the case, she needs to keep on trying to poke holes in the chain of custody until Sam sees sense.
Madeline remarks that people often only see what they want to, especially when feelings are involved, and Olympia considers that this was what happened with Julian, and she can't believe she even considered taking him or getting back with him.
Madeline takes the opportunity to poke a little bit around their backstory.
Yeah, I think probably with Edwin's accusation fresh in her mind, she decides to show to herself at least that she's not went soft on her.
Yeah.
So she asks about when or how Julian and Olympia met. What do we find out?
It turns out it was on this Brexit opioids case. They were working together under senior, and it was all about who knew what and who knew it when, and it's the exact sort of thing that Madeline is interested in.
Yeah, this is when the lawsuit started. So up until this point, it never really been confirmed that there was a lawsuit. We knew that she was investigating Brexit, but it's never officially, I don't think.
I'm not sure. Olympia tells her that the work for Big Pharma nearly killed her soul, and she predicts it will kill Madeline's as well.
She then asks her what the situation is between Senior and Julian. And Olympia asks her how much time she has, at which point Madeline says, "Screw it, I'm drinking," which is nice.
So much later, Olympia concludes her story by pointing out that they have a really nice house and that Senior gave Julian the money for the down payment, despite Julian's claims that his father never does anything for him.
Yes. So we don't find out what this backstory is, the relationship between the pair of them.
But Madeline does.
She reconfirms that Brexit is how they met and how she unfortunately met Shay, who was an analyst for McKinsey at the time assigned to Brexit. So this is something new been added.
Yeah, so is this going to be a new suspect? Is there going to be extra people who... So maybe it's none of the first three.
Well, we see at the very end, it's a new suspect. She puts her picture on the board.
Yeah.
I mean, Madeline is stunned by this revelation, but Olympia continues to vent about how she only once asked Julian about her, so I think she'd some sort of suspicion.
He got quite defensive and put on location sharing and told her to track him. That's fairly normal, right? My wife and I have always got location sharing on permanently.
Really?
Yeah, I've never had any concerns about it at all. It's quite handy, so you don't have to text, where are you? Just check.
No, I've not got any. I would never have location with anyone sharing unless it was for a one-off thing. No.
No, my wife and I permanently could track one another if we ever wanted to.
That's odd. That's permanently
need.
track each other. Okay.
Anyway, suddenly Olympia remembers something.
Yeah, she has this week's Eureka moment, and she recalls Khadija mentioning that Sam's Bluetooth earbuds were stolen in the robbery. We didn't mention that earlier on, but I don't think, did we?
Yeah, it was. Well, we didn't mention it, but it was
Yes.
mentioned that her earbuds were in the truck when it was stolen.
Yeah, maybe they can find out the location where they were last seen or last accessed.
Madeline claims to be a little bit too drunk to really take this in the first time. I think it's quite good it's not always Madeline that comes up with the solution.
Yes. So they must have spoken to Sam and got the last location of the buds from her, as they are now outside an apartment where they were last active.
I'm not sure this is technology that exists. If you've got like Find My iPhone or something, fair enough. If it's just Bluetooth, they're saying these are Bluetooth, therefore you can find. I don't. That's not how Bluetooth works.
No, but maybe the Find My device is, they didn't want to say that because it's a it's a technology that's...
Okay, right,
No,
fair enough.
yeah, it's like the same way they won't
I
use
think
Google.
it does work for Apple earbuds. I'm not sure I've ever seen this tech for other
It works for Android.
for a specific pair.
Yes, I've got it on my phone right now. I can find my devices, yeah.
Like any earbuds at all that are Bluetooth, or do they have to have a
There's certain ones that have to have that functionality.
and you have to set it up first?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, Madeline, looking down the list of door buzzer names on this apartment building, spots something of interest.
And drunkenly presses the buzzer and puts on the voice of an old delivery man before the pair totter away giggling.
And we see who it is when the door is answered.
Yeah, they're watching from across the street. Who is it?
It's Irv.
Oh, big Irv. Olympia wants to confront him, but Madeline says they need a plan and maybe some sweet potato fries. That's very modern as well, because I would still be old school. When I'm drunk, not when I'm drunk, if I was drunk, when I used to be drunk, I wouldn't be thinking sort of the healthy option, sweet potato. I'd be thinking just a bag of chips.
They would just like sweet potato fries.
Yeah, I'd
I think
have
a lot of bars would have them as a...
maybe, but when you're
option.
drunk, you don't go for the healthy option.
Are they that healthy, those
Yeah,
sweet potato
compared
fries?
to a bag of chips or fries.
I think it's a marginal gain.
No, I think they're a lot better for you.
Really? Mm-hmm. Back in the office briefly, Billy and Sarah tried to make sense of a drunk text from Olympia.
Yes. Who wants them to look into Irv or Merv or...
Merver.
Yes.
They do figure it out though and send through some information which pleases Madeline and Olympia, who are happy but too drunk to get up.
Yeah, they think they need a couple of more glasses of water before they skedaddle.
In court the next morning.
It was a nice cup because
Yes,
you see her
she's drinking
taking
her
water
water.
and then putting it down in the courtroom, yeah.
Irv is on the stand and is asked if he knows what a union buster is.
Yeah, he says he sort of does, yes. She then asks to submit a list of companies that Irv has worked for over the past 5 years, and all had been attempting to unionise but had failed the vote before he then left them.
And all of them had paid significant sums to a consulting firm registered to him.
Olympia then asks him plainly if he is a union-busting consultant, and he admits he was, and was actually a mole gathering information rather than a dispatcher.
More or less.
Then, when you realized my client, Sam, was the leader of the union movement and the vote was likely to pass, you targeted her by stealing her truck and framing her?
Absolutely not. I mean, that's extreme.
Then how come the last known location of Sam's earbuds, which were in the truck when they were stolen, matched your home address?
Maybe the thief drove past my house or threw them in the trash nearby.
Maybe. Problem is, there's one other thing that points to you. Sam had her first prenatal ultrasound appointment the day before the truck was stolen. Didn't tell anyone at work. But those ultrasound photos were in the truck when it was taken. You and I spoke at a bar when you were still pretending to be Irv, the dispatch lead, and I was trying to get you to be a witness, remember?
Sure.
Did you mention seeing her ultrasound photos with me?
Objection. Opposing counsel can't be an impeachment witness.
Obviously, but I can call an impeachment witness. If only there was someone else who could corroborate what you said to me. Care to revise that statement? Or do you want to add perjury to the list of charges you're racking up?
Fine. I took the truck.
Why?
Sam was organizing a union. I needed to give the company a reason to fire her. That was supposed to be the end. Although she hired you and wanted her job back.
And you knew she'd get right back to her union organizing activities. So you planted evidence in her locker to frame her for the theft.
I did. Yeah.
Okay, I'm confused, and you have to clear something up for me here.
Mm-hmm.
Olympia has said there that the ultrasound the day before led to these pictures being in the truck. But earlier we were told that she swapped cars with Khadija, and Khadija was covering her shift so she could go for her ultrasound.
Uh-huh.
And you don't get 2 ultrasounds in 2 days.
No, but she was only going for the ultrasound and going back to work.
What do you mean?
She would go for the ultrasound.
Yep.
Oh, but
No, the photo's in the truck. She's already had an ultrasound, got her photographs, and the photographs are in the truck before she swaps cars with Khadija.
Are we sure?
Yeah.
How do you
that's because that's the evidence. He steals the truck that day and knows she's pregnant because the scans are in the truck.
Yeah, but she
said earlier that the reason that Khadija was covering her shift was so she could go to an ultrasound.
Yes, she goes to the ultrasound. Khadija covers not the shift, just that hour or two. She goes to the ultrasound, comes back to work with the photographs.
No, they say the truck was stolen while Khadija was driving it.
Ah, yes. I don't know, that's a bit of a...
I don't know, unless she's going for a second ultrasound the next day, which doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, no, we wouldn't do that.
No.
Okay, well, if any listeners have got thoughts or ideas on that...
We've probably misunderstood something here, but someone will need to explain this bit to us, because I don't really understand the timeline there.
Okay.
Anyway.
And as this admission is heard in court, we see Olympia turn around and smiles quite proudly at Elijah. So it's almost as if, do we think there's going to be a reconnection with them? Or she wants that. Maybe he'll just say to her, no, that's fine, you've made your choice. Yeah. Okay. So outside the courtroom.
Yes, Sam gives Olympia the go-ahead to continue the civil case, but Khadija indicates she's unhappy at the previous suggestion that she should be fingered for this.
Well, yeah, she pretends to be annoyed. And Sam gives it the I told you so attitude.
Olympia gives her some positive feedback on Elijah and says that he's shown up for her and that she should, be nicer to him.
They have a giggle, and she then says to him, well, when are you going to be getting married? As families are wanting to do.
She's had to go over. He's at the end of the corridor, so Olympia's out of earshot now.
And she suggests, looking back, that maybe Olympia would be a suitable candidate.
And we can see from Elijah's face that there's no artifice at all when he says there's nothing there. I think he's lost any interest that he had in Olympia. Yeah. Although we might be proven wrong.
Maybe. It's certainly what he wants to believe for himself anyway.
Yeah. Back in the office, Billy and Sarah are pleased that Olympia was impressed with their work on Irv.
And he then tells her that she was right, and he's going to tell Claudia to get out of the apartment.
Yep, so this is the last of his mother's food that she can expect to receive for a while. But she could not have been any nastier in the way that she spoke to him, and he's not happy about that.
Well, she says that she could have been nastier.
She does.
However, he tells her that she has to tell Kira how she feels, although through a mouthful of food, she tries to argue and disagrees.
In the elevator with Kira, Sarah does now say that she doesn't have any other hangs, which is...
I could not even say that word. I couldn't in that context at all.
The amount of cringe, I would just curl up in a ball and I think die on the spot.
But like I say, maybe the sort of New York youth, that's how maybe that's all cool, good patter, but the trendy patter, I don't know. But
Sarah's too old to be a New York youth. We talked about this at the start.
No, she's only
into
about
her late 20s.
I don't know, yeah. But no one should be saying hangs in this context.
No. Anyway, Kira says that her directness is one of her many appealing features and wants to check back in about a month. What's this?
I thought what I've got here is very, very odd stuff. And again, maybe I'm, so out of touch with dating and relationships, but it's like, I really I appreciate you saying. So what Sarah says is, look, I understand, I'm not going to be jealous. You do what you've got to do.
I'll be waiting,
yeah, because I've got feelings for you. And rather than, as you would assume, and it's certainly on TV, she goes, thanks for that, I appreciate it. Do you know what? I'm going to commit to you. She says, cheers. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing for another month, and then we'll see what it's like.
And Sarah says, I'll send you a calendar invite, which she says, hot. And we're meant to think, this is romantic or something. She's away seeing other folk for a month.
It's just, I don't understand. I don't, let's say, maybe, listen, things have moved on. Maybe we're more traditional in what we think, but that's just
weird. They do
weird.
Shoot a kiss here.
That's even worse. It's like, I
really like you, but wait a minute, let me get my oats sewn.
Yeah.
Like, if this was a guy,
Sarah's, I can taste Shay.
If a guy was saying this to Sarah, it would be like, no, he's a wrong un.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to, I'll keep you hanging.
You wait here for me, and I'll do what I want to do, and I'll maybe come back in a month.
It's just weird behaviour. I say, okay, tell you what, we'll split up just now, and then maybe down the line, maybe once you've done your thing, maybe we can get back together again. But I'm not sitting about like a little lapdog puppy waiting for you to.
I feel like we're shaking our fists at clouds.
I think we are. I don't understand it myself.
But fortunately, nobody young enough to do this is listening to the podcast, so we're all right.
Oh no, I'm not saying that we're right. I'm just saying weird. This is how we think. It's just weird. But I'm sure, down with the kids and all that sort of stuff. That's probably how they hang.
And as usual, although this seems like a good point to end the episode, there's still many more scenes to go.
We're in Julian's office, where Olympia enters, and after mentioning the email confirming the kids' place at Gramercy Park, the school, Julian apologises and admits that he was out of line and believes her, and will believe her, if she tells him nothing happened with Elijah.
She says that she's not happy this got so public.
She doesn't confirm or deny this.
She's not interested in kowtowing to him anyway at all.
Yep.
She says that for the good of the family, they should not work together anymore, and he agrees, but is shocked when she says it's not her who's going to leave.
Well, I've said before, I mean, it was obvious, I've mentioned a few times, she can just leave. She was the one who didn't want office politics, but she get involved in a relationship with the boss's son, and then someone else. And then it was her decision not to get, for things to get messy.
Yeah.
So she should be leaving.
She's close to making partner, she shouldn't have to leave.
She doesn't have to leave. It's her decision. So if she wants someone to leave, go away then. You can leave. You shouldn't
she wants him to leave.
I know she does. And if I was Julian, I'd be saying, it's my dad's company. Peter, I'm not leaving.
For the good of her family, she wants him to step up as a father.
I'm sure,
and get another job.
Yeah. No, this is all of her own doing. The mess that she's got herself into.
I think there's an undercurrent of her thinking it'd be good for him to get away from his dad.
Well,
because she's mentioned a few times that the weird relationship, about the way that Senior holds money over him and the way that his behaviour, and we've seen him get fired off while Brexa and stuff and manipulated. So
I would accept that if it wasn't for how demonstrably badly she's treated Elijah. She makes these decisions just like that for nothing. So
Elijah's a big boy, he can handle it.
Well, I'm sure he can handle it, yeah. But anyway, they have an agreement here. What are they going to do?
Yes, he proposes that as they're both up for partner at the end of the year, they allow senior management to pick one of them for partner and one of them to leave. This
is extremely risky from her, I think, because Elijah is now a managing partner.
And as a senior.
Yes, your ex, who you've thoroughly annoyed, and your ex's father.
She reveals in the next scene, which involves her and Madeline, that she has agreed to this proposal. However,
she started it. She creates mess. She doesn't think about things. It's havoc of her own doing.
There's an additional element to this agreement.
Okay.
She and Julian are going to share Madeline's services for now, and then whichever one of them stays on will get to keep her.
Now, Madeline points out that she doesn't think that she can force Julian to work with her. And what does she say?
She's going to have it written into the divorce, and the whole thing goes down in flames if he doesn't agree.
Madeline thanks her sincerely and again must feel a guilt dagger driven into her heart as she responds by saying that she looks after her friends and people she can trust and hope that she trusts her.
Yeah.
Madeline, all she can do is smile awkwardly.
Yeah. And then back at the mansion, she admits to Edwin that she has stopped viewing Olympia as a suspect, like he said, and he is pleased that she sees his point of view, but she doesn't.
No, she has stopped viewing her as a suspect because she didn't do it. Julian did.
Edwin looks despairing like Obi-Wan when Anakin turned to the dark side in Star Wars.
Don't know what that means.
Well, it's...
I don't care what that means. Carry on.
He just thinks that he's lost her, that she's gone beyond anywhere he can help her, because she says that Julian did it, and even though there's no proof, she trusts her friend, and we see her take down Olympia's photo from the pinboard, as you alluded to earlier on, and put up Shay's picture.
It's got to get messy with her as well, I think.
Yeah.
No, it's getting messy.
We've been saying that for 8 weeks now.
Yeah.
But, in my view, there's far too many episodes left for it to be so straightforward.
Yeah.
What I want to know, this is a question that I've had in other series, and I know the answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
Okay.
When Irv on the stand admits the truth,
yes,
he organised it all, there wasn't a crime. Why is the DA upset? They found the truth. Surely he's a champion of the truth, not just let's get this person that we're prosecuting.
You would think that, but they've got their records, their tally, so my witness to losses.
He's found the truth.
Doesn't care.
Part of this process.
He has lost a case, and for his career progression and his status and everything else, he wants to be winning every case.
It's absurd.
Yeah, well, that's it. Human nature.
And on that note, why did Irv fold so easily? I suppose because he doesn't really care.
Well, he should care if he's involved in a theft. I mean, I'm not sure what sort of crime he's been committed. There's certainly been fraud.
Well, no, if the company's in on it.
He's done it for them.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm assuming the company's not going to prosecute him.
But that's what I'm saying about Olympia, the public.
Well, so the company's now going to be liable for the civil case, which he has opened up. Yes, I think he folded far too quickly.
But there might be a criminal. There will be criminal activity there as well, I think.
Potentially.
Well, no, sure. If you've set someone up and lost their job, that's a crime.
It's certainly wrongful termination if the company's in on it. Any other thoughts before we go into the summation of the Bain case?
No, I mean, I think things are boiling up nicely.
It's too soon, though. We're not another night. This is episode 9. We've got another. We're only halfway through.
Okay.
I think Edwin's going to die of a heart attack, and Madeline's going to have to make a.
Maybe.
No, I don't think that. They wouldn't do that. That's a bit cruel.
Alfie gets bullied to death, gets stabbed at school.
Alfie stabs someone at school.
Yeah.
And Madeline gets him off.
Yeah.
No, or Olympia gets him off.
Yeah.
And then Edwin comes round, and then it turns out Olympia stole the documents, so they don't know what to do.
Stabbing's a Scottish thing. There'll be an Uzi or a gun in school over there.
Alfie carries out a school shooting. That's your prediction for the rest of the season.
That's what happens.
I don't think they're going to go there.
That's the type of thing that happens. You get bullied and you snap. Anyway, that's why a good old-fashioned knife's better. You can only do so much damage. Carry on.
That's the voice of experience there. The main case in this episode was a criminal prosecution of Elijah's cousin Samantha Prince for the theft of a delivery truck and its contents. The evidence against her included a tracking slip from inside one of the packages that the company found in her locker when it was cleaned out, and the circumstantial evidence that she turned off the camera in her truck an hour before the robbery and never turned it back on. The case turned on the greed of union buster Irv Lambert, who stole the truck to give the company cause to fire Sam, a leading unionizer in the company, then framed her for the theft when he found out the goal of her wrongful termination claim was to get her job back. He was exposed when it transpired he had kept her Bluetooth earbuds, which were tracked to his home address. Additionally, he had admitted in an earlier conversation to Olympia that he was aware Sam was pregnant, which he could only know from ultrasound scans found in the truck. Presented with this evidence, he confessed on the stand and the trial collapsed.
Yeah, that's pretty much it, yeah. Production information.
Go.
The 30th of January 2025 was the original air date. That must be in the US then?
Yeah, it's not aired in the UK yet.
Okay. Now, I think what we've seen in the past and what we'll see here is there are people with smaller CVs involved given responsible roles.
Yep.
So either, and we'll give them the benefit of the doubt, either they're giving opportunities to new up-and-coming talent or they're doing it on the cheap. I'm assuming they're giving opportunities to new talent. So we've got Daniel Willis as the director. He's born in Chicago and has worked on The Rookie, 20s, Cruel Summer, So Help Me Todd, Chicago Fire, Chicago Med, The Blacklist and Grey's Anatomy. The writer was John Lowe. He's mainly a casting producer or a director. Worked on Survivor, Project Runway, Under the Gun and Best Inc. His only other writing credit was Virgin River. So again, giving people chances here. In terms of the cast, Sam was played by Alison Lee Brown. Again, hardly anything. Guilty Party and a couple of shorts. Hashtag More Life and Virginality. Khadija has not much more of a resume. She was played by Ashley Aguillard, and you may have seen her in All American, The Rookie, Curb Your Enthusiasm, or Holly and Ivy. A couple of interesting pieces of trivia from her IMDb. Not sure who wrote this, but number one, Ashley has never broken a bone. And
her own or anybody else's?
Well, yeah, exactly. And also, Ashley was evicted from her first apartment for spending her rent on a puppy.
Interesting. Is that an endearing story or a story of avarice?
Who knows?
Irv's got lots of history. Talk about Irv.
Oh, he has. He is... we'll see this as well. They bring in good character actors to, I suppose, supplement the...
I must have seen him in about half a dozen things.
Yeah, I can only note down a few things here. So he's played by Ron, either Roge or Roge, R-O-G-G-E.
Rogie.
He is, quite a prolific character actor and has appeared in 115 Grains, The Offer, Station 19, 13 Reasons Why, Stranger Things, Hap and Leonard, The Middle, Modern Family, Days of Our Lives, All My Children, How I Met Your Mother, Dexter, Desperate Housewives, Fashion House, Harry's Law, and Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue.
Oh, one of my favourites of the Power Rangers.
Yes. And I think this is interesting. He has owned and operated haunted houses throughout the Southern California area.
That's either really impressive or really creepy.
Yes. like old man with a, come on, boys and girls, got some candy.
Come inside.
Anything else?
No, I don't have anything else this week.
Okay, well, what have we got next week?
Next week, Madeline and Sarah go undercover at an old folks' home. Reminds me of that
Poker Face
episode, yes. As they try to gather intel in Crash Helmets On.
Okay, until then,
Cheerio.
bye-bye.